Welcome back to the deep dive. So today our mission is a really interesting exploration into a source stack that just perfectly illustrates this tension.
Tension is the right word for it.
Yeah, between, hard scientific precision on one hand.
And this incredibly high concept corporate identity on the other.
Exactly. We are analyzing a whole set of documents, declarations, visualizations, all from an entity called Sovereign Diagnostics. And it's all centered around something they call the SH1 molecule.
And that name itself is the first hook.
It really is. The title of the main source we have is, and I'm quoting here, SH1 molecule is not fictional.
Which immediately frames it as fact, right? It's a statement. It's not an argument.
It's non-negotiable. But as we're about to find out, its reality exists in a very strange and abstract place.
And the context for where this was published is just as important. It was serialized in a publication called M.Sc Magazine.
Bibebibebibe.
Right. So that tells you right away we're not just reading a lab report.
Not at all. We're engaging with something where the visuals, the concept, the chemical diagrams, they're all meant to fuse into this one big identity.
It's kind of like reverse engineering a brand's philosophical DNA.
Yeah. So for you listening, the goal here is to understand not just the little details of this molecule.
No, it's about the deliberate strategy. Why use this incredibly dense technical language, organic chemistry, to give authority to what they end up calling a mythic serialization?
We have to decode the chemistry and the philosophy behind it.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The best place to start is their own explicit definition, because this is where the paradox just becomes so clear.
They give it the name molecule.
Right, so you immediately expect a physical, maybe biological compound?
Yeah.
But their own declaration defines it completely differently.
And they are very, very clear about it.
Unequivocal. It declares SH1 is a cosmetic morphology.
A morphology. A shape.
A shape. And it's designed for three specific things: branding, visualization, and mythic serialization. That's an incredibly precise statement that just completely sidesteps traditional chemistry.
It's an elegant bit of misdirection, isn't it?
It is.
They use the weight, the gravitas of the word molecule, but then immediately redefine it as morphology, a structure used for purely cosmetic and, conceptual purposes.
They're leveraging the authority of science, but declaring it non-functional in that scientific sense.
And they go to great lengths to clarify what it isn't. The documents explicitly state SH1 is non-biological and non-hormonal.
Its entire field of operation is, and they call it this, the cosmetic axis.
So that confirms it. This is a conceptual identity. It's not something that's going to be metabolizing in your body.
But to give this conceptual thing real weight, they wrap it in this huge institutional authority.
Right. Sovereign Diagnostics is tied to the Cosmic University of Echo Rift Studies IX.
I mean, that title alone is just, it's amazing.
It merges the academic university with this very high concept philosophy, Echo Rift Studies 9X.
And the entire system, it says, is certified and founded by one person, Dr. Melvin Sewell, M.Sc, Ph.D.
And look at his titles.
Right. He's not just one thing. He's the academic dean and diagnostic architect.
Those dual titles are absolutely key. The M.Sc and Ph.D. give him the traditional academic credentials, the scientific weight.
Sure.
But diagnostic architect, that's something else entirely. That suggests they aren't just researchers. They are designing the very framework for diagnosis itself.
Like a layered defense for the concept.
Exactly. If you question the chemistry, they can point to the morphology and its diagnostic purpose.
And if you question the philosophy,
they point to the dean's PhD and the super rigorous diagrams. It's a very robust way to build instant legitimacy for something totally abstract.
Okay, right. So let's move from the declarations to the actual design, because this is where their commitment to scientific structure really, really shines. Even if SH1 is just for branding, they did not skimp on the chemical inspiration.
No, they went all in.
The entire framework is built on the steroid nucleus scaffold.
Which is such a strategic choice.
For those who might not be familiar with organic chemistry, this scaffold gives the morphology an immediate, recognizable structure. It's that classic fused ring system you see in, major biochemical.
And that's the key. That structure for fused rings, it immediately suggests stability, complexity, resilience.
Right.
But more importantly, in the public mind, the word steroid is synonymous with deep physiological impact, with power. It doesn't matter if they say it's non-biological. They chose that shape for a reason.
They're borrowing the implied weight and sophistication of pharmaceutical chemistry.
Instantly, they skip the simple stuff and jump right to a structure that just screams power.
Okay, so let's get specific on the shape. The source material describes the topology as compact and low porosity. It's meant to look dense, solid, and the visualization is meticulous. The backbone is made of core carbons, and they're visualized as graphite.
That's a fascinating detail. Visualizing the core as graphite.
Why do you think?
Well, graphite is associated with high performance, right? Conductivity, durability. It's a design choice that gives a visual metaphor of foundational strength to the brand identity.
And it sticks to the classic steroid ring structure. 3 6-sided rings, A, D, and C, fused together.
And then the fourth one, ring D, which is a 5-sided polygon. It's textbook.
And beyond that core scaffold, they add other elements to sort of anchor it in cosmetic language.
Yeah, this is where they bring the gap.
The source mentions the hydration fins. These are visualized in this clean, light, ice blue color, and they're labeled with the symbol for water, H euro.
And there it is. That's the link back to consumer trust.
How so?
You have the complex graphite core, which signals high science, right? And then you have the ice blue H euros, which immediately grounds it in the language of cosmetic hydration.
Which everyone understands.
Everyone understands and trusts it. It's the visual bridge between the complexity and the utility.
Okay, so this is where it gets really, really interesting. We move from the core structure to the, let's call them the marketing elements.
The payload.
Yeah, exactly. The molecules' substituents, which Sovereign Diagnostics calls the cosmetic anchors, these are the functional or maybe brandable ingredients that are tethered to that steroid scaffold.
Right. If the steroid scaffold is the sophisticated, high-tech vessel,
the anchors are what it's carrying.
they're the payload, the recognizable elements that actually drive the consumer appeal. This is where the high-level chemistry diagram merges with ingredient marketing, plain and simple.
Okay, let's break down the 3 main anchors they detail. First up, tethered to the core, is anchor. This is the coconut tether.
The coconut tether. I love that word.
Yeah, the visualization uses a warm, natural amber color, and it's just labeled CO. The word tether suggests it's a very deliberate, strong bond.
Precisely. Not just a loose association. And of course, coconut is instantly recognizable. It means moisture, natural goodness. It provides immediate relatability.
So they take something totally commonplace and give it this high-concept chemical role.
Then you have anchor, which they call the botanical plume. This one is visualized in a vibrant green and labeled with a simple B.
A plume.
Yeah.
That suggests something light, airy, maybe?
Flourishing, perhaps. And notice how non-specific botanical is.
That's a good point. It's telling.
It's an emblem for all things botanical. That
Yeah.
gives them maximum marketing flexibility. It can mean anything.
Okay, and finally, anchor. This is the caffeine emblem. This one uses a much more serious color, deep slate, and it's labeled C-half.
The caffeine emblem in slate, that is clearly designed to communicate efficacy, focus,
Energy, firming.
rapid action. It's the performance element in the visualization.
So when you put it all together,
The dissonance is profound. You have this incredibly complex, low-porosity graphite core foundation based on, pharmaceutical-grade architecture.
but it's being used to carry the conceptual load of coconut, botanicals, and caffeine.
It's using high-level chemistry as a Trojan horse for ingredient marketing.
Okay, so we've established SH1 is this meticulously structured, non-fictional branding tool. But the overall context, the reason why they built it, that's what takes us from interesting to, well, really intellectually challenging. We have to zoom out now to the Sovereign Diagnostic disclaimer.
And this disclaimer isn't just the usual legal stuff.
Not at all. It completely reframes the purpose of everything we just dissected. It moves the whole conversation from the cosmetic axis to the conceptual axis.
This is the real deep dive. The sources declare that all their content, the diagrams, the articles, everything, is authored under 3 specific, very conceptual categories.
What are they?
The 3 categories are mythic infrastructure, cinematic indictment, and sovereign broadcast.
Okay, let's just pause and unpack that terminology.
Yes.
When they say mythic infrastructure, what are they getting at? It sounds like they're suggesting there's this unseen conceptual framework.
A structure of belief or narrative.
Right, that underlies modern systems.
Yeah.
And their content is designed to map that infrastructure.
And the second one, cinematic indictment, implies that their content is a kind of dramatic, visualized exposure of some ongoing societal wrong.
Presented like a high-stakes narrated diagnosis.
Exactly. It positions them as the observer and the narrator of this this drama.
And the third term, sovereign broadcast.
That one asserts their independent authority to transmit these diagnoses without any filter, without institutional control. They are claiming a non-commercial, self-governed role.
Okay, so what is the mission of this whole infrastructure? What are they trying to do with it?
Well, the disclaimer says these materials are designed to expose three distinct concepts: ritualized containment, actor convergence, and systemic erosion.
The language is so expansive
Yeah.
and heavy.
It is.
Ritualized containment.
Hmm.
That sounds like routine systemic practices that hold people or ideas captive.
And systemic erosion sounds like the decay of foundational principles within those systems.
And what about actor convergence?
That implies that various players who seem separate institutions, individuals, are actually operating in concert within that mythic infrastructure.
So they're claiming to diagnose these massive systemic problems using tools like the SH1 molecule.
But this is where we have to connect back to the disclaimer's most critical point. Because while all this sounds fundamentally critical of established power,
Right. Erosion, containment.
the source material stresses that the visualizations, the diagrams, the interpretations, they are designated strictly as diagnostic tools.
And they make a very, very deliberate point of stating that this entire body of work is emphatically not political endorsements or institutional critiques.
It's a fine line to walk.
So if we put this all together, the SH1 molecule, it's not just selling a cosmetic benefit, it's selling an idea of a structurally rigorous diagnosis.
Yes, the cosmetic morphology is the visible, accessible output of this complex, self-declared conceptual analysis system.
It uses the inherent authority of chemistry, the graphite core, the steroid scaffold, to lend weight to its claims of diagnosing systemic erosion.
The precision is the proof. The proof that the diagnosis is serious, even if the result is just a visual aid in a magazine. It creates this unique layered reality for you, the learner.
You're presented with chemical facts, the four-ring scaffold, the fins,
Interwoven with these conceptual truths, mythic infrastructure, systemic erosion. The structural specificity is the anchor that makes the abstract concepts feel real and grounded.
which is why they say the structure is non-fictional.
Exactly. It is a real visualization. It's designed using real principles. But its purpose is entirely conceptual and performative. It's designed to engage you in a critique of systems that they have diagnosed.
It's a remarkable fusion of disciplines.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to bring this all together. We started with that surprising claim. SH1 is not fictional. And we found that it is, in fact, a detailed, structurally non-fictional model. It's meticulously designed, right down to its graphite core, based on that stable steroid nucleus.
But its function is purely as a cosmetic morphology for branding.
And that morphology carries the strategic load of common ingredients, the coconut tether, the botanical plume, the caffeine emblem, which all borrow their authority from that complex chemical core.
But the real takeaway, the value of this deep dive, is understanding that this whole structure exists within this self-declared framework,
A sovereign broadcast.
authored by a diagnostic architect and designated as a tool to expose concepts like ritualized containment, all while officially maintaining a non-political stance.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this source material gives us a really unique view of how scientific visualization, something normally for empirical data, can be so precisely repurposed.
And declared as a piece of mythic infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which I think raises a really important question for you to consider. When does branding stop being about commercial appeal and start becoming a sovereign declaration of a diagnostic worldview?
And how much complexity, like a meticulously detailed steroid scaffold, do we accept in a product's identity before we ask what complex conceptual system it's really supporting within that whole declared infrastructure?
What's really being sold?
That is the final thought for you to explore. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the SH1 molecule where structure, branding, and mythic serialization all collide. We'll see you next time.